Hello, and welcome to another video. This video we're going to go over a Pyrotech hotball that I had. This game is like 40 DPS off of 20k, but it doesn't really matter. We haven't done a pyro commentary ever, I think. So a quick rundown of like how to play pyro and what I'm doing here is that I'm trying to tab to get Scorch on everybody. This is currently my most important thing. And when I notice they start to stack up, I do go for a carbonized, obviously use my shield for CC immunity to make sure that I can get my explosive fuel, or I guess get the most out of my explosive fuel. I'm also taking the AoE Rocket Punch, so I'm trying to make sure that I use Rocket Punch all the time. Also, Incendiary can be spread by Searing Wave, so there is some angling here that I do to try to make sure that I hit everybody, and also I'm hitting the target that has Incendiary Grenade, or not Grenade, but Incendiary Missile, or whatever it's called, on the target. I'm also taking the Rail Shot Dot, because it helps if you're sustained a tremendous amount. And for the most part, outside of getting Scorch on everybody, which Scorch will be majority of your damage in situations where there's not much sustain going on. Say if you're able to get Scorch on a lot of players and there's not much sustain, like people are dying. Not relatively quick, but they're running around and you can't really do anything. Scorch will probably be your highest damage. But these guys are actually fighting a good bit, so between getting Scorch and there's not a ton of damage on my team, that does mean that one, I'm going to get a lot of value out of my Scorch, but also at the same time, pretty much every other ability is going to get a lot of value, including my Incendiary Missile. There we go. We actually got the right word this time. And I'll say that I am trying to kite here and just try to create range and use my slows. Searing Wave does slow them, so trying to create range and using Searing Wave on them as I'm trying to create range will slow them by a tremendous amount, but inevitably me and the healer pretty much die here, so we're kind of screwed. This is a solo game, and I think there's a premium on every team, I'm not really sure. But relatively this match is not completely fair, but for the most part, it's about as balanced as it's going to probably get. A lot of people on our team are actually just giving up because I guess they died once, or they're just not using their defenses very well. There's something going on that causes our team to kind of just give up against them, even though they're very killable, and all we had to do was group up and we could easily, beat them. So that is unfortunate. This, hopefully, some people see this and like, oh wow, PvP is actually not that hard if you actually group up and fight together. I remember the other day I had a match where I told them, I was like, let's kill things, and they're like, okay, and we all like stayed together and killed people, and I'm like, all right, well, we got our node, we got mid node, enemy team's all hiding in their node now. Just like that, is that easy to win, just because our team actually decided to fight, cleared the mid, and we pretty much were able to protect mid and our side node consistently. I even got stuck inside the map for a couple of minutes, and they just stayed together and fought, and surprise, we win, just like that. You don't need crazy coordination, you don't need crazy strategies, you don't need a pre-made. You guys actually sit together and actually fight. It is game changing. Unfortunately for this team, I guess you could say, a lot of players are just not really interested in the objective, and enemy team's not always fighting at the same time, but neither is our team. I think this person gets like 10 slams in a row on us. I was like, I better taunt that. I don't want to stand in that. That sounds awful, but I am taking the 60% AoE DR, so if I really did want to stand in it, I could. Probably wouldn't hurt me that much, though it would be the extra dots, and I do have dot DR, so Pyro is probably one of the more tanky classes, if not tankiest, especially against Venge Slam Spam, though Venge Slam Spam would, eventually kill a Pyro PT if it could survive. A quick TLDR of like how to play them for Pyro. Outside of the normal stuff, your priority should always be your punch, especially if you're taking the AoE variant. You can get a lot of damage out of it. Scorch is must-have on everybody. Incendiary Missile is usually only used when you're about to use Searing Wave, and you can spread it. Rail Shot, when it's glowing, it's nice, good single target ability, and helps your single target sustain. Just get it out every now and then. You don't need to use it on cooldown. If there's AoE, Flame Sweep's going to be better than just using Rail Shot. So do keep that in mind. Sometimes you'll rather use Flame Sweep than you'll want to Rail Shot. So do try to think of that, especially like 3 players. Flame Sweep over Rail Shot. It's not 3 players. Definitely get that Rail Shot off and then just continue whatever sustained priority that you have. So Scorch, must have. Punch on cooldown. Usually try to get it in AoE. Rail Shot, if you're single targeting, it's very good single target sustain. And do keep in mind that you should use it on somebody that has decent health, because it's a long dot just like Scorch. However, it's not mass applicable. And then Searing Wave to spread your Incendiary Missile. And then Emulate, only when it's glowing. It applies a lot of single target bursts, which is nice. Then you have your normal damage, which is either Flame Sweep or Flame Burst. Flame Burst does respectively single target damage. And Flame Sweep is weaker, so only in 3+ situations, 3 players plus situations, is Flame Sweep really worth it. It can be worth on 2 targets, but most of the time it's usually not. So if you can just like grapple somebody in there for a 3rd target, it's definitely the move. I believe they end up getting a score here soon. And we do end up losing this match, and there's not really much we can do. This game kind of goes downhill for DPS. I don't really care. I'm just playing normally, putting dots on people. Your auto attack does apply your cylinder damage, so auto attack is part of your heat management, but also it's not terrible damage. PT is one of those classes that just fits in its auto attack. It's part of its DPS rotation. It's used for venting heat, but also at the same time it's very good for just like basic range damage if you're not able to get in range hitting them. So don't be afraid to just randomly use it when you're out of range, you don't have leap. Incendiary Missile is also a good alternative. Then as for defensives, your defensives are a lot better than pretty much everybody else's. So you can use Power Yield on cooldown. It's a lot of damage reduction, lasts for 30 seconds. It's a minute cooldown, so it's incredible. Energy Shield gives you CC immunity. You don't get CDR for it, and unlike AP, you don't get a passive absorb / CDR for it. The passive absorb is actually pretty good, besides just the CDR. So Energy Shield is good, but it's not super amazing. Your best defensive, however, is Kolto. When it actually procs and you're at 30%, you can survive on that 30% pretty much for the full 8 seconds. So usually, ultimately, I'll say you use Power Yield into Kolto, and then when you're while you're on Kolto, you probably want to pop a journal just to make sure you don't die through it. How much Kolto is about to fall off. So let's say you've got maybe a second left of your Kolto. Go ahead and pop shield and pop med pack. That's pretty much a simple way of doing your defensives. However, you can kind of use it however you want. Sometimes you can just use shield a little bit more aggressively to make sure you tie it with your explosive fuel, so you can get a lot more damage out without being CC. That's usually pretty nice. However, it's not like necessary. Sometimes they won't have a lot of damage, so therefore you don't need it. And in worst case scenario, if you overlap a defensive, it's not terrible, especially if you're taking out a lot of damage, a lot of focus at that time. However, spreading out your defensives is definitely something you should take advantage of, because each one of your individual defensives is actually pretty strong. And PJ left the match, which is weird. This person has not upgraded his gear since 7.0 came out. He's pretty much still wearing last expansion gear, and by last expansion gear, I mean he's still in terrible gear from last expansion, so chances are he played 6.0 and he didn't upgrade his gear then. Never seen him leave a match, but I see him all the time. I never see him type, never see him interact, see him play the game objectively a little bit, and that's about it. So it's an interesting person. I'm not sure why he doesn't bother to do anything with his gear, but however easy. Almost 20k for this. Nothing too special about Pyro. Pretty straightforward. If you guys have any questions about Pyro, feel free to leave them in the comments.